Hello, how are you? It is review time because today I'm going to be looking at a show that I've been watching for like 6 weeks and a movie that recently came out and is actually pretty interesting because Marvel is something that I've covered quite a bit in my review series, but today 2 Marvel things are going to be delved into. So with that, spoilers if you don't care about Moon Knight and Doctor Strange 2, then proceed watching the video. If you've seen Doctor Strange 2 and Moon Knight, proceed watching the video. If you haven't and you care about these shows and movies very much, I suggest you leave. I suggest you leave now, because right now I'm going to be spoiling everything in these shows and movies. So prepare yourself, okay? Because in 3, 2, 1. The first few episodes with the transition between Steven into Mark was actually very well done. Now, if you haven't watched the show, Steven is this British man who's pretty cool looking, okay? He's very pathetic, he's cowardly, and he's quite sad, but he has got these little episodes where he becomes Mark, his actual person. Now, if you haven't read the comics like I have, because I haven't read the comics, then this transition will actually be quite cool. Now, if you have read the comics, of course, you know what the dynamic's going to be between them. So, you know, the first few episodes is a bit of a slog, but there's also a hint at a third personality later in the season with Jake. This guy called Jake Lockley, I'm pretty sure. And that was also very well done. After Mark gets shot in like episode 4, I think it was, and presumably dies, the entire sequence in the mental hospital was actually pretty enjoyable. The show just shifts from like a Tomb Raider style show to a pretty cool character study. That wasn't really something I expected to come out of Marvel, even if many of the directing followed to standard Marvel formula. The balancing of the scale section with the hippo, the hippo of all things, was also pretty nicely done with an extended flashback sequence, but I do need to question how they were actually able to balance the scales, with Jake still lurking somewhere within their personality. Like, the balancing of scales was meant to be like, yes, you finally understood what your personality is, like, you finally understand yourself. Steven no longer hates Mark. Mark no longer hates Steven. They finally get together. But there is Jake. And Jake is nowhere to be seen in this part. Like, no one knows who Jake is. But he's there. He should have interacted with the scales a bit. Other than the creativity of the mental hospital, the dynamic between Mark and Steven, and even the designs of the Egyptian gods themselves. So even if Khonshu's design was a bit odd at times with his CGI, feeling a bit lackluster, but that's just the nature of shows. Harrow, the villain, was perhaps the most standout, boring aspect of the show altogether. He was your standard Marvel villain with no defining depth and a simplistic goal in mind throughout. Thankfully, he wasn't the focus of the show, but his presence was a constant reminder of the fact that this show was in fact a Marvel show, because his character was so one-dimensional, it's insane. So overall, you know, Moon Knight is a standard show, I guess, but there were aspects of a cool character study, which was pretty cool for Marvel, I'm not gonna lie. You know, there was a standard Marvel stuff, but with that out of the way, I think I like the show. I think I do like the show. I think it's similar to Loki in that it has to be a 7 out of 10, but it was pretty unique when it had to be unique. When it wasn't unique, it was just very standard, very boring. But yeah, 7 out of 10 is what I'm giving this show. Pretty cool. Let's go on to Doctor Strange 2. So right off the bat, I need to get something off my chest, okay? You know how the movie is called Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? Well, considering how we were only able to witness 3 different universes, including the standard one, the title's a bit misleading. Sure, the madness element of the movie was there with Wonders Fall into Darkness, but I expected to at least witness 5 different universes. Maybe I was expecting too much, but I don't know. It felt odd to me and left me wondering why they would title the movie Multiverse of Madness if it was only Wanda that was going mad. Maybe naming it Descent into Madness would have been better. Not only would it have not spoiled Wanda being the main villain, but it would have also fit Wanda's literal descent into madness. Compared to every other Marvel movie, Doctor Strange 2 felt the most unique. I would even go as far to argue that this show had been more unique than Taika Waititi's Thor Ragnarok. This, of course, had been thanks to Sam Raimi, who was the director of the film. There were times when it was clear Sam Raimi was held back in terms of creative freedom, but in the times where it really mattered, Raimi's direction was very obvious. This absolutely helped with the movie in feeling fresh, while also giving it the kick it needed, even if the story didn't want to do that, and even if the story wanted to confuse a lot of things, but it made it better to watch. Speaking of helping making the movie feel fresh, the constant violence and gore seen throughout the movie allowed me to further appreciate what the film was trying to achieve. There had been some scenes where I was left shocked at how far they were willing to push the gore aspects of the film. Specifically, that one fight between the Illuminati and Wanda. The Illuminati, let me just side note, okay? The Illuminati were pretty cool to see. Okay, I didn't mind the cameos that much, and I did enjoy how they actually gave this universe some lore with the recontextualization of what we know about Infinity War. The characters like Black Bolt, Professor X, Reed Richards, Captain Marvel, but the friend of Captain Marvel from our universe is now Captain Marvel, and then Captain Carter. The fight between them felt really refreshing, with the other two fights in the movie now being what I expect from Marvel moving forward. Not only did the final fight scene between the zombie-fied Doctor Strange excel my expectations, but the musical fight scene between the two Doctor Stranges was just a joy to watch. It was beautiful. But again, with the Illuminati, I have to say, while it was very cool, maybe it didn't make the most sense. Because Reed Richards, being the smartest man alive, he just instantly said what Black Bolt's ability was. And then Wanda just killed him based on that. Well, it didn't kill him. Black Bolt technically killed himself, but, he didn't have a mouth. So, in that instance, I think I would have screamed as well. And then also, in the same fight scene, the Illuminati fight scene, Reed Richards dies immediately. Black Bolt dies immediately. And then Captain Carter, who has basically no abilities, the only ability is to be strong. Wanda struggled with her. I mean, Wanda could have just I don't know, melted her shield into her body or something to make it so her hands are now welded into her shield, and then she goes crazy, or maybe, I don't know. They could have done anything, Captain Marvel makes a bit of sense because Captain Marvel is supposed to be incredibly strong, but Captain Carter was a bit of an odd choice for letting her live for as long as she did. She did die in the end, but yeah, that was a bit weird to me. Don't worry about that, because as I said, the story's about a bit of a mess, but the action, the directing, everything makes it better, okay? Makes it actually worth it. And with Sam Raimi directing this movie, we had to expect there to be at least some form of horror in the film. But while I did expect this, I did not expect it to have this much horror. The horror wasn't scary, but it definitely was persistent throughout the entire film. This is especially true with every interaction the main characters had with Wanda. Some of the horror elements were cheesy, but that's expected from Raimi, and so I didn't particularly dislike it. It actually gave the movie quite a charm. Looking back now, I would go as far to say that I hope Marvel revisits the horror genre, but this time really goes out of their way to make a full-on horror movie. That, I'm sure, will be pretty fun to watch. Just like I really enjoyed watching this one, even if the story was quite a mess at times. Because I'm gonna be honest, the story was a very simple concept, Wanda wants her children back, and then we have to tell her that, no, you can't have your children back. Your children are gone forever. You have to be happy with your children being gone. But then Wanda's like a demon, compared to WandaVision. You need to watch WandaVision, by the way. I forgot to mention this, but you need to watch WandaVision to understand this movie. So, that's cool. This is just a sequel to WandaVision, but it's cool. I like this movie. It was very fun to watch. It was very cool to watch. The fighting was amazing. The horror was pretty cool. The directing was quite good. The colors were good. The visuals were good. The CGI was good, except to the eye. Doctor Strange's third eye. That was horrible. That looked really bad. It looked horrendous. But 8 out of 10. Probably one of the better Marvel movies. Probably the best Marvel movie in terms of visuals. But yeah, that's it. That's the entire review. Well, to 2 reviews, because I did 2 reviews, but thanks for coming. What else is there to say? Our next thing that's coming out is 4-4. I don't know if I'm going to review that. It looks quite generic. It's going to be fun to watch probably, but again, quite generic. I don't know if I'm going to review that. Probably not. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for coming. Hope you enjoyed the review. See you next time. You know, Moon Knight, a 7 out of 10. Doctor Strange 2, 8 out of 10. Pretty good Marvel stuff. I'm having fun as a Marvel fan, you know? It's crazy. Anyway, yeah, goodbye.